Hello everybody and welcome, I'm Ben from What Culture.
Hello, I'm Scott from What Culture.
And we're here to talk about Senua's Sacrifice, Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice.
Yes, to give it.
You've been playing a lot of, I think it's the hot word and the hip hop fresh on the scene
the hop brigade
on the game. AAA indie is what they're calling it.
Yeah, it's a weird little game because Ninja Theory are a very small little team and they had this really big, ambitious kind of idea. So the mentality behind it over the past, because it's been in development for a good couple of years, but the mentality behind it seemed to kind of emerge as like we've got this indie focus and this very narrative heavy thing, but we're giving it the AAA gloss and we're going to give it this big budget, like, production.
Yes.
It's
splitting opinions, right?
Yeah, and having been through it and being the honest mofo that I am, I'm gonna slide in here and say that it's nowhere near as good as people are saying that it is.
Okay.
Not that people overall have reached a consensus, but there are a lot of glowing reviews for it that just annoy me because I don't think it's that good.
Now, before we get into it, let me tell you what I've heard.
Go on,
and you can agree or deny.
And I'll say up front that I don't hate it.
Right.
It's just, I did tweet that it's one of the worst games I've ever played. Played being the operative word.
Okay.
Anyway, carry on.
Right. So I was really interested in this game anyway.
Yeah.
From what I can gather from reviews, it seems that it's a very, very interesting premise. It's gorgeous. It does slide along quite well in terms of narrative and you want to know what's going on and things.
Yep.
And then the puzzles kind of completely take you out of it and totally ruin things, and you have to look for shapes in the environment.
Yeah, all the time.
Okay.
I've listed some stuff as good stuff and and we'll get through it.
Yeah.
Because you can ask a bunch of questions and all that kind of jazz.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the main story, it just opens with Senua coming in on a canoe, and she's just going in, and it's all Norse mythology. So there's a lot of lore building. The world building is really, really good. The imagery is great. You can tell they've done their research.
Yeah.
And there's lots of little runes that you can interact with, which make this dude talk to you. I didn't know who that dude was, and the game doesn't tell you until you look at the making of documentary. He's he's some ancient thief dude who was some ancient Norse thing.
Okay, because she's got psychosis, right? So
Senua does, yeah.
Yeah, she hears stuff.
Voices, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, which again, that's the best stuff. That's the stuff that I think that a lot of the reviewers and critics have latched onto, because I did as well. I went, this is incredible, because they've recorded all the audio with a binaural mic, which is full 360 mic. So all the time, you need to play it with headphones as well, and use the DualShock 4's headphone jack to make the 360 audio. Because the voices in your head, you've got her, you've got her mum's kind of in there. There's 5 or 6 other voices, and they're all kind of fighting with each other. That stuff's really good. That's really effective, and it works in combat as well. You'll be fighting and someone will go, watch out, and it'll be over there, and you'll go, oh god, and that makes you feel like a warrior or whatever, or this battle hardened warrior kind of thing. Because she does have this past as this she's part of this tribe called the Picts. Again, all this stuff is in the making of. It's not in the game. Hence,
they're
one of the
Celtic,
problems.
right? It's a Celtic tribe, and then the Vikings come and do unspeakable things.
Yes, the Northmen, I think they call them. They come in and do some horrible things. Part of the story is it opens with her in the kayak, and it is just figuring out what is this world, who is Senua, what's her past, and what's happened, why is she the way that she is.
Right.
And it does get there, but yes, the puzzles, oh my god, why? Just why? Why would you have, because they set it up so well. You've got these gorgeous cutscenes and the incredible motion capture, and Senua looks phenomenal. All the animation, all the world design is absolutely stellar. And then every now and then you'll have a great little cutscene where it'll start drip feeding what's going on. You go, I can't wait to see how this goes. And then it'll literally go, here's 3 glyphs, go find them.
Right.
And you just do
when
that.
When you say glyphs, it's just a shape.
Just a shape. It's a stick, a P. I mean, they're all old school, Norse, mythological signs. But it's not even. It's like those old Arkham Riddler trophies where you have to align the environment for it to line up.
For the question mark.
Yeah. And so they tell you in a vague radial sense, they tell you, oh, you're in the zone where somewhere looking around is the thing that you want.
Just spinning around.
So you're just walking around but it's the most
I feel like a real warrior right now.
Yeah, it's the most languid pace. And she doesn't run very fast. You just ambling through. You, wait a bit, look around a lot, and thematically they tie that into her psychosis. They want you to believe that she sees things where there are not things.
Right.
Which doesn't really make sense because she does see things that then unlock doors. There is actually something there, which is the opposite. It doesn't matter. Point being though, the actual pace every time they give you something that's really interesting, because the story itself, you are interested in Senua herself and what's going on, but then they just stop it, throw the 3 glyphs on the screen. You'll just get a door with 3 glyphs on, and it's right, go find them. And the only other puzzle are these perspective ones where you have to line up another glyph.
Right.
And that happens over and over and over again.
Is it a bit like Mafia 3 where you're oh, I'm really enjoying this story, now you've got to go do all these stupid missions
to be honest,
over and over again until you unlock the next story mission?
It's not even as it's not even as, because at least with that you know exactly what you have to do. Right. It's more like, it reminds me of like old school Zelda puzzles where you're just stuck in a dungeon and the game's like, what are we thinking? Figure it out. Somewhere in here is what we want you to do.
Yeah.
And or like Final Fantasy 15 stealth thing, where it's just like the most basics thing, and there's a lot of backtracking in Senua as well, especially at the beginning.
Okay.
I'm very negative on it. It was one of those things where we went in wanting to like it, because me and you like arty-farty, walkie type of games, and all that stuff's great. And you look at it and go, this would have been so much better as a third-person walking simulator or whatever. Just be full-on narrative delivery and have the combat every now and then, and don't have this horrible puzzle design. Like, there's just no need for it. Even, like, have it a couple of times maybe, so you can do the thematic tie, like, oh, she's understanding her environment,
right,
and whatever. But like, goddamn. It's just, I don't get the positive reviews whatsoever.
We weren't given a review copy.
No.
We did request one, but we didn't hear anything back. You bought your copy.
I did.
This isn't a review, but if you wanted to affix a score to it, what do you think it would be?
Well, we do out of 5, so I guess I'd have to give it 2, because I'll have to give it 1 for the presentation, because I think the presentation and the research they put in is incredible.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, Ninja Theory's heart is in the right place. Like, they do want to tackle really ambitious themes that haven't been tackled in games before. We've never had a character with mental disorders before.
Right.
And that's a really cool thing to do. And it's very progressive. And
apart from Trevor, but they're like, that's sort of more glorifying it, isn't it?
Yeah. And he doesn't have to like struggle with it or anything. It's not like the same kind of thing. But I'd give it 1 star for that, and I'd give it another for just like the general presentation. And the combat in spots really shines. The stuff, like I said, where you can actually use the voices to like fight through stuff. They elongate some combat scenarios, so you're really fighting to stay alive.
Right. A great example
like
of how that's been done mental health in other games before. I would say maybe Max Payne. The sections where he goes, about his wife and child, and it's just like a horrible nightmare sequence where you're following the blood trails. See, that was hard, but it was doable.
Yeah.
And it sort of made sense, and you didn't have to do it every 10 minutes.
And you could absolutely argue that like it was meant to be arduous and annoying because he is undergoing like a horrible nightmare.
Yeah.
And like there are all sorts of like potential justifications for things like that. But in the moment, is it fun? And the Max Payne blood level's gone on to be one of the most hated levels in like
true.
gaming.
But you only had to do it once.
Yes,
so that's
very true.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And like the thing that Senua Sacrifice reminded me of is like, in like third-person action adventure games, say like the new Tomb Raider or whatever, there's always like a wounded sequence, like Uncharted, like, oh, I'm grabbing I can't move very well. Yeah, just give me a minute while I get there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of that in Hellblade.
She's under a lot of stress.
And like the acting's great. The actual person who plays Senua, I forget her name, but she's one of Ninja Theory's video editors. Like you can tell that like they have this really small, really cool feel. Which leads me on to another thing, is the game comes with a documentary all about psychosis and how they put the project together. And this is when I would get into like the nitty-gritty. If I was going to review it, this would be the thing that I hang the whole thing on, the linchpin, because they talk about how the project came together and how the lead guy wanted to do this like hero story about this person who was like struggling against psychosis, came home one day and found that their village was decimated by the tribes that have invaded, and they go on this like hero's journey. And what if they had like mental illness? And so they then went out and they started talking to people who had psychosis, and they put the research in, and they talked to these people, and they described certain things, and then they put those actual like memories and events and things into the game.
Right.
And the overall feel, and I apologize if this sounds so callous, but the way that it feels is like they just kind of went like, let's just put this stuff in, and it kind of has this like student university project kind of feel to it.
Okay.
Where it's just sort of like, we want to tell this story, so we'll just put the worst stuff in. We'll have her screaming all the time. We'll have her like going through the worst stuff. And
so it was done with the best of intentions, but it seems like they've cherry-picked the most impactful parts rather than maybe a fair representation of what it's actually like to have psychosis.
I would still say that the actual like the things that you see, the imagery that they use, and the pain that Senua has, like it does come through. Like you do feel that she's going through like the trip of having psychosis kind of thing, like the adventure that she's on kind of thing. But it just has this feel of like a university project where it's like a bunch of interpretive dance type things, and you're just like like just some sort of stage play where like everyone does a bunch of moves and they stop. Right. And then it ends, and it's like, oh, did you get it? Did you get what that was?
No.
And it's definitely ambitious, and it's definitely worthwhile for being incredibly gorgeous and ambitious. But the positive reviews, I feel like, go more towards what it's trying to do rather than what it actually does. Sorry, and I'll round this out by just saying, like, at the end of that documentary, the creative director guy posits this really, really interesting question where he says, why have we still got mental illness today when you think of like human evolution? Like lots of other traits, we've evolved out of them. Why haven't we evolved out of having mental illness? And that's such an interesting question, because he then says, well, maybe its purpose is to give us new perspectives on life, like different ways of creatively viewing the world or whatever. And that's a really nice way of positing like mental health. nowhere is that in the game.
Right.
Nowhere is that like fighting through and harnessing it and owning it. Like anywhere.
She very much
just a lot
is
of
a sufferer
screaming.
of screaming all the way. Okay, very quickly. Not going into the ethical side of what he did.
Yes.
But a lot of people will be aware of Jim Sterling's review in regards to this.
Yes.
Now, there was a particular part that affected his review, which I believe he gave 1 out of 10 in the end.
He's walked it back, I think.
It was right. Okay. Well, there was a glitch he encountered that completely broke the game for him. Did you have any such issues at all?
I didn't have any glitches, but there are lots of parts. There are a couple of key parts where you're because like the game does want to represent in the Norse world, like in her hell world. The thing is, like, it's all in her mind, which you can maybe infer from the psychosis side of it, or if you've kept up with the game in the pre-release. Being that I went in not knowing anything, I didn't even know that, because the game just opens with her in the canoe and it just goes from there, and it's like, well, I don't even know if this is a fantasy world. Like, I don't know this is a reality that you're embellishing with your psychosis. Like, I don't know, but there are a couple of parts where you're running away from, like, obviously, sans spoilers, you're running away from evil forces, let's say. Yeah. And the closer they get to you, you don't see them, but the closer they get to you, the more the screen bugs out, and the more she screams, and the more the voices go, oh my god, yeah. And all of that, in the moment, is nigh on impossible to play through.
Oh,
like,
really?
It's not impossible.
Because that sounds really intense.
Do you know what you have to do?
Like a really good effect.
It's a really great effect, but what you have to do during that is find the glyphs, find the puzzles.
Oh,
and you're looking around the environment as everything's freaking out. And okay, fine, thematically, that's meant to be like, oh my god, this is what it's like when someone undergoes a psychotic episode. Totally fine, but you're still making a video game, and you're still making something that has to be controlled.
Playable.
Yeah. And so, like, I get what they're going for, but in those moments when you just die, and then it's like, right, well, what did you want me to do there? Just freak out? Like, yeah, there are a couple of bits like that. I don't think that's the thing that Sterling came up against. I think his was more to do with like torch puzzles and not having the right torch.
Water and torches.
Yeah, but it's things like that where you can absolutely see what they were trying to go for, but the actual playability of it, the actual, like, in the moment, what am I doing right now? Like, is this engaging? Is this... It doesn't have to be fun, you know, but, like, is it engaging? And the answer for me was always no. There's one great bit at the beginning where, like, when it first tells you, like, who you are, what's happened, and they put a sword in your hand and they go, right, you need to go do this thing, and you're just on this big... It's probably the shots that a lot of people have seen of, like, on the big bridge, like the big Norse mythology bridge.
Right.
There's a big old bridge. And you're going down there, and that's when it's like, oh my god, this is all going to click. All these puzzles were arduous because we're now getting to the big propulsive moment forward.
Yeah.
Nope. Stop the game, here's some more glyphs, go find some more puzzles. Baffling.
Right. Okay, well, summing up
Thoroughly
then,
baffling.
Senua's Sacrifice, what is it, and is it worth it?
It is a strange hybrid of old school Arkham style perspective puzzles. Let's say old school 2009 perspective puzzles with really enjoyable combat for the vast majority of the game until the end, when they throw way too many bodies at you and her dodge you can't get out of the way. There's some stuff like that that's a little bit too annoying. Is it worth it? Not for the full price, not whatsoever. I would still potentially say it's worth a look for a drastically discounted price, closer to like £10, or when it hops on PS Plus, because its themes are incredibly interesting, and the conversations that it sparks are infinitely interesting, as it is delving into mental health in general, as it should be, should be out there. But I just think that the way that the actual execution of it is not remotely enjoyable in the moment.
Okay, well, there we go. Are you enjoying Senua's Sacrifice? Are you thinking of playing it? What do you think of this whole furor surrounding puzzles in games? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Ben from What Culture.
And I've been Scott from What Culture.
And we'll see you soon.